Hello there. Welcome back to Turning Towards the Shadow, where we stand on the phrasage, truth is a pathless land, no man, organization, religious organization, or woman can lead another man to truth. But we certainly can help each other sharpen the blades of common sense. It's not for me to tell anybody how to be. These are suggestions. Don't take it too personal. We're all in this at different places, right? Turning Towards the Shadow is about people looking to go into the direction of what has been phrased or in a specific area called the Jungian shadow work. But it's really just a process of experience of the human condition. And that has been, again, truth is a pathless land, no man can lead another to truth, but we can help each other sharpen the blades of common sense. So we can make that, help each other out with that journey to get to that place. And so well, let me just say this first. Don't take it too personal. People are assholes. People have to feed the Monkey King. That's kind of how I phrase it. And it's very easy to say, and sometimes it may put a little fuel on a fire, like, oh, well, don't be too sensitive. Right? Really get someone peed off. And before I go a little bit further into that, if you're just tuning in to Turning Towards the Shadow, Viktor Frankl says freedom is the space between impulse and response. I've come to observe it and understand it as freedom is the space between impulse and reaction. So that implies that we are in a reactive state of being in that state. But if we say we observe we're in a reactive state of being and we're unhappy with that and we want to address that, it's a tough thing to navigate. But say there's a habitual reaction we're looking to not engage with anymore. This is a good way to kind of observe it, because normally a serious habit, could be even an addiction, it's immediate, the reaction, and there's no time where simply we jump directly into it, right? So just to have this as in our sphere of understanding, it gives us a little bit more to maybe observe or have kind of see it as it's happening, as we're going into a place where we don't want to be, and perhaps pause. Impulse, space, response. Viktor Frankl said stimulus, space, response. I suggest impulse, space, reaction, because for me it observes this area we're going into. All right. Because once you have understanding, sometimes we don't even know, we attribute these as aspects of our character, but they're not necessarily set in the DNA. They've simply been habitual. But once we can observe it and we don't react, it falls away. Almost like it's something that when we understand something that is false, right? When we see the falseness of the false, it simply disappears. When we have a belief system we understand that is erroneous, when we understand it, we see it for what it is, it no longer holds. So but we do have things that set us off. But what I'm I'm going to suggest to you is when we are not in a reactive state of being, when we come to be able to be in a place where we have stimulus-based response, right? That we could, when we have a stimulus, we could observe it and respond. If we're in a situation where we have impulse-based reaction, where we're reacting, it's different from taking action. And if we can observe the reaction before we engage in it, and we pause in that space, that's freedom. Okay. But it's hard to hear that when there is something that, if someone has, just to put it in simple terms, someone has your number, right? When someone knows what button to push, or even someone who plays at these games, because that's the Monkey King, right? So my suggestion is, don't take it too personal. We live in a world where the Monkey King reigns. The Monkey King is consumerism. The Monkey King is the winner in the competition of consumerism, the aspect that's been cultivated in the human being to identify the external with our identity. A lot of words. You don't have to understand all this, but this is so. So, but if you're not in that space, let me just tell you the situation. If you understand really the players, that perhaps it's because it's hard to say don't react when you're in a reaction. It's almost impossible. It just makes it worse. So I won't tell anybody don't feel the way you feel, don't react the way you react. Because if someone's in that space where they're still in their reactive self, you're in the place. If you're listening to me and if you're doing whatever you're doing, you're where you're at, right? It's about observing this. But let me give you some of the factors of the Monkey King. The individual that is pushing your buttons, inadvertently, they're captured themselves, right? An individual who is free doesn't need to play another human being, either for a reaction, because the Monkey King always has to feed itself. What I said, the Monkey King, there's a reference in Eastern philosophy that talks about the Monkey King. But when we don't understand the nature of thought, right, and we have not done any reflection on the self, the Monkey King reigns. It's my suggestion. So if someone's gaming you or someone's trying to push your buttons, understand it's not you, it's them. They're a slave to the mind. They're a slave. They have to feed this Monkey King that they have, right? In order to get a response from you. Doesn't mean that it sucks. We live in and here's another thing to understand too. Most people who are in that state have been hurt themselves or leveraged by the economy. That's one of the reasons why this building I'm in front of is in Union Square. I think it's 1848 is one of the initial banks. In New York City, one of the oldest neighborhoods in the United States of America. Economic leverage in the concrete jungle. When you're put into place, say, like New York City, right? It may be more in the past when there was just flats, brick flats, and you were told, make your way, figure it out. And there's no natural law where you're putting seeds in the ground and you're getting water out of the, right? You had to find a way amongst people in a concrete area to figure out the rules that other people are creating and make a go of it, right? So many of those people, the only resources they had was the human condition. And most of them were being hurt themselves, so they almost start working on, it's human resources. So that is the Monkey King. they have to work on other people to get what they want. So that's kind of the predatory aspect of that. But not everyone. So most people who are in that state where they're preying on other people are captured themselves. They're not free. So, sometimes like a bully or someone who is manipulating someone because they have a little bit of ground, right? The only reason they're in that position is because we are giving them that power, because we see them in some light. I remember myself when I was young. I come from a very rough background, and you kind of see people. Well, even in generally speaking, money, to be a winner in the economy we have, you have to be able to play the ego game. So we see that attribute, we put it as something to respect, but it's not always the case. Not in every person, right? So sometimes we give power to other people or even respect, that's misplaced, especially someone who is seeking to undermine another person's just well-being in a present moment, because that's the game. The game is to take someone out of the present moment. That's the war on consciousness, right? That's if you are being distracted or you're being taken out of the present moment, you're not engaging in the five senses common to all men, so you can make a decision that best serves you. So if someone's pulling your strings, pressing your buttons, you don't have to give them so much power, right? And understand that they are in probably a worse situation. Maybe not on the surface. Maybe they have it economically better than you at the moment, but they not internally. You don't know what the story is. Many people. And here's something else to understand. Many people who victimize other people were victimized. It's serious, horrific. I don't want to go into too much detail of this, but even I'm around Union Square. There's a lot of kids living on the street. People are being taken advantage of and hurt. Young people. It's very tough, and people are forced. We live in a society of economic leverage, right? And people are leveraged into situations, and they have to survive. And sometimes people go through horrific situations, and they get through the other side, and they're still in a survival mode, right? So this is where compassion comes in, because most of us, especially if we're in a reactive state of being, we don't have the time and space to step back and think of why people, someone's just pissing in our coffee or whatever it may be. And we can't allow people to trespass upon our rights. Or, so it's just a suggestion, the less we allow people to stir the pot, to get a reaction out of us, the closer we get towards that which is, that goal. If you're looking at this, we're talking about the shadow work. There's a place we want to be that has to do with freedom from the reactive self, I would say. And so one of the suggestions is, whenever we're in a situation, if I'm kind of uneasy about my state of being, the actions I'm taking, is it a reaction or action? And am I getting a step closer to freedom or away from it? And listen, I don't want to be your teacher. I'm not interested in being anybody's guru. This is a conversation, because truth is a pathless land. No man, religion, or religious organization can lead another man to truth, but we can help each other sharpen the blades of common sense. So don't let anybody get you off steady ground. Don't let them push your buttons. And I'm not telling you not. If you may feel that, go with it. But understand, if anybody's doing that to you, one, just take a look around, make sure there's not someone behind you robbing your bed. Just keep it, keep an eye, but know that there's something that person has the problem. It's not you. You know, I mean, and sometimes we are aware of this, but every once in a while, it's good to have someone from the outside give us a reminder. Yeah. Take care.